This was Britain's first experimental fast reactor at Dounreay on the north coast of Scotland. It supplied electricity for 14 years to the national grid. It has now been replaced by a larger prototype fast reactor which became operational in 1974. It generates 250 megawatts of electricity. Fast reactors allow more energy to be extracted from uranium fuel than in the present-day commercial reactors, which are called thermal reactors. They increase its energy potential by 50 times. In a thermal reactor, the abundant U-238 absorbs some of the neutrons. Although the U-238 does not fission, a change does occur. The U-238 absorbs one neutron to become U-239, which is unstable. This decays to neptunium, which is also unstable, and decays finally to a new element, plutonium, which is fissile. Like U-235, it can be fissioned by a neutron, and it can be used as fuel in a reactor. All thermal reactors produce some plutonium. This plutonium can be fissioned most effectively by using fast neutrons and is mixed with readily available non-fissile uranium-238 to form the fuel of the fast reactor. The proportion of fissile plutonium in the fuel can be made sufficiently high, about 20%, so there's no need to slow down the neutrons in order to achieve a chain reaction. So the term fast reactor. This means that there are more neutrons available than are required to maintain the chain reaction. These spare neutrons can be put to very good use. In a fast reactor, the fuel can, if desired, be surrounded by a blanket of more otherwise useless U-238. Some of the escaping neutrons are then absorbed by the atoms of the U-238, converting it into more plutonium, in the same way as plutonium is produced in the present-day thermal reactors. This plutonium can be separated and eventually used as more fuel, enough to replace the plutonium used up by being fissioned. Basically, the reactor consists of a bowl containing about 900 tons of liquid sodium in which fuel assemblies are suspended. The heat produced during fission is carried away by the sodium, which is pumped around the fuel. Also submerged in the sodium are 3 heat exchangers. Through these, the hot sodium transfers its heat to an isolated secondary circuit of sodium. Other exchangers outside the reactor transfer the heat to water, turning it to steam to drive a turbine and produce electricity. The secondary circuit ensures that the radioactive sodium in the core cannot accidentally come into contact with the water circuit used to drive the turbine. Natural uranium is a finite resource, and just as oil and coal stocks will eventually be exhausted, so too will uranium. But the country's present stocks of uranium, if used in fast reactors and turned into plutonium, would have the energy equivalent of more than 5 times the amount of oil in the North Sea, or as much as Britain's known coal reserves.